Hi, I'm Carolina. I used to think I had the perfect life with my husband Derek and our beautiful 4-year-old daughter Emma. Our little house in the suburbs with the white picket fence was everything I dreamed of. Derek works in healthcare administration, and I run my own small graphic design business from home so I can be with Emma. Babe, my mom called again about bringing Emma for those tests. Derek was standing in the doorway of my office, that nervous look on his face I'd started noticing lately. What tests? She just had her annual checkup last month. Dr. Chen said she's perfectly healthy. You know how Marlene is. She just wants to be thorough. Jacob's condition has everyone on edge. I sighed, returning to my design work. This is the third time this month. It's weird, Derek. Derek's family had been oddly interested in Emma's medical information since she was born. His nephew Jacob had some rare blood disorder, and somehow that translated into constant pressure for tests on our daughter. How about you guys come for dinner Friday? Dad's grilling steaks. I nodded reluctantly. Family dinners at the in-laws always left me with a tension headache. Friday night, I was looking for Emma's jacket when I heard hushed voices from Marlene's study. The preliminary results are promising. Emma could be perfect donor material for Jacob. That was Marlene's voice, unmistakable with that authoritative tone she'd perfected as hospital administrator. But Carolina doesn't know yet. That was Howard, Derek's father. Derek said she's been pushing back on the additional testing. She doesn't need to know everything right now. The important thing is that Emma is a match. We've waited years for this. My blood ran cold. Donor material? A match? What were they talking about? The next day, while Derek took Emma to the park, I searched his home office. Behind his accounting software, I found a password-protected folder labeled Family Medical. It took 3 tries before I guessed the password, Emma's birthday. Inside were detailed medical reports about Jacob's condition, treatment options, and transplant possibilities. Then I found it, a document titled Potential Donor, Emma Wilson. There were genetic test results I'd never authorized, notes about compatible tissue types. When Derek came home, I confronted him with the files spread across the kitchen table. What the hell is this? You've been testing our daughter without telling me? His face crumpled. I can explain. Explain how you've been treating our daughter like a spare parts factory? How long has this been going on? It wasn't like that at first, Derek whispered. When we got married, my parents were worried about Jacob. They thought if we had children, there might be a chance. Are you telling me they wanted us to have a baby just to save Jacob? His silence was answer enough. And you went along with it? You used me to create a donor? I love Emma. And I love you. But Jacob is dying, and Emma could save him. I felt sick, betrayed to my core. No one is harvesting anything from our daughter. This ends now. The look in Derek's eyes told me this was just the beginning of a war, but I'd fight anyone, including my husband and his entire family, to protect Emma. I barely slept that night. By morning, I had a plan. I'd play along just enough to gather evidence while protecting Emma at all costs. I need time to think about everything, I told Derek over breakfast, pushing my untouched toast around the plate. This is a lot to process. Thank you for considering it. Derek reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Jacob doesn't have much time left. I want to talk to the doctor handling Jacob's case. Alone. Derek hesitated. Mom won't like that. I don't care what Marlene likes. This is my condition. I made an appointment with Dr. Rivera, Jacob's specialist, without telling Marlene. I brought a small recorder in my purse. Mrs. Wilson, I understand you have questions about the potential donation process. Dr. Rivera was younger than I expected, with kind eyes. Did you know my daughter was conceived specifically to be a donor? Her face went pale. Excuse me? I explained everything. By the time I finished, Dr. Rivera looked physically ill. This is deeply unethical. While family donors are common, creating a child specifically for harvesting tissue violates every medical ethical standard. Who authorized these tests on Emma? My husband and his mother. Marlene runs Memorial Hospital's administrative department. That explains how they've accessed testing without proper channels. This could cost her license, her job. She leaned forward. I cannot and will not participate in any procedure involving your daughter without your fully informed consent, and I'd advise you to seek legal protection immediately. Later that week, Marlene invited us for another family dinner. I brought my recorder. Carolina, we need to schedule Emma's next round of compatibility testing, Marlene announced over dessert. We've found a specialist in Chicago. What exactly would they be testing for? I asked innocently. Just more detailed tissue matching. Completely routine. Marlene smiled that tight smile that never reached her eyes. And then what happens? I pressed. Well, if everything lines up properly, we'd begin the donation process. Just some bone marrow initially. Emma would hardly feel a thing. Howard chimed in. Jacob's getting worse. His last transfusion barely helped. I looked at Jacob across the table, quietly pushing food around his plate. My heart broke for him, but not enough to sacrifice my daughter. Derek, what do you think? I turned to my husband. I think we should consider all options, he stammered, avoiding my gaze. All options? Or just the one your parents want? Don't put him in the middle, Carolina, Marlene snapped. This is about saving Jacob. No, it's about using my daughter without her consent. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. I excused myself to check on Emma, who was playing in Jacob's room. When I returned, they were whispering again. I hit record on my phone in my pocket. She's being difficult, Marlene hissed. She's her mother, Derek replied weakly. We don't need her permission for basic testing. You're Emma's father. That's enough. I froze in the hallway. We can take Emma next Thursday while Carolina's at that client meeting. Dr. Hoffman owes me a favor. The next morning, while Derek was showering, I called my best friend Sophia. I need a lawyer and a safe place to stay. Right now. I was packing Emma's bag when the doorbell rang. Marlene stood there with a car seat. I'm taking Emma to the aquarium while you work on your deadline. Derek mentioned you were swamped. My blood ran cold. They were already making their move. That's so thoughtful, I smiled, gripping the doorframe. But Emma's got a slight fever. No aquarium today. Marlene's smile vanished. She looks fine to me. Sorry, maybe next time, I said, closing the door on her stunned face. The moment I closed the door on Marlene, I called Sophia again. She just tried to take Emma. We're leaving now. Within an hour, Sophia had us set up in her guest room. While Emma napped, I called the number Dr. Rivera had given me. Medical Ethics Board, this is Linda. My name is Carolina Wilson. Dr. Rivera suggested I contact you about a situation involving my daughter. 2 days later, I sat across from 3 serious-faced board members as I played my recordings and showed them the unauthorized test results. This is deeply troubling, Mrs. Wilson, the head of the board, Dr. Patel, said. Using administrative privileges to access testing facilities, conducting procedures without proper consent, these are serious violations. What can I do to protect my daughter? We'll begin an investigation immediately. In the meantime, we recommend you seek legal counsel regarding custody. Derek called 17 times that day. I finally answered while Sophia took Emma for ice cream. Where the hell are you? Mom said you slammed the door in her face. Your mother tried to kidnap our daughter for medical testing. That's ridiculous. She was taking her to the aquarium. Stop lying, Derek. I heard you all planning it. Silence then. Just come home. We can talk about this. I'll come to your parents' dinner tomorrow, alone. Then we'll see if there's anything left to talk about. The next night, I walked into the lion's den. Not just Marlene and Howard, but Derek's sisters Vanessa and Trisha, their husbands, and even his Aunt Gloria were there. Where's Emma? Marlene demanded immediately. Safe, Vanessa jumped in. Do you have any idea what you're doing to this family? Jacob needs that transplant. And what about what Emma needs? She's 4 years old, not a spare parts factory. No one's saying that, Howard interjected. But families help each other. Family doesn't manipulate each other into creating children for harvesting. Derek slammed his hand on the table. Stop saying it like that. We're trying to save Jacob's life. At the expense of our daughters. Did you ever love me, Derek? Or was I just an incubator? The room fell silent. Of course I love you, he whispered. But Jacob is dying. And that justifies everything? The lies? The unauthorized testing? We did what we had to do, Marlene said coldly. I looked around the table at their united front. I've filed a complaint with the Medical Ethics Board. They're opening an investigation into your unauthorized use of hospital resources. Marlene's face hardened. You stupid girl. Do you know who I am at that hospital? Who will they believe? An administrator with 30 years' experience or some hysterical mother? They'll believe the recordings I made of you planning to take Emma without my consent. They'll believe the documentation of tests you ran without proper authorization. You recorded us? Howard looked stricken. I pulled out the envelope I'd brought. This is a notice that I'm filing for emergency custody of Emma and initiating divorce proceedings. Derek, you're welcome to see her, but only with supervision. Derek looked at his parents, then back at me. The moment stretched between us like a thread about to snap. Mom's right. You're being hysterical. Jacob needs this. And there it was, the final betrayal. I hoped you'd choose your daughter, I said quietly, standing up. I guess that was naive. If you do this, Marlene hissed, I'll ruin you. I have friends at every hospital, every clinic. You'll never work in this town again. I'll tie you up in court until you're bankrupt. I paused at the door. Threats, too? The ethics board will love that. See you in court, Marlene. As I walked out, Derek called after me. Carolina, wait! But I was done waiting, done hoping. From now on, it was just me and Emma against the world. The next morning, I met with Dr. Rivera at a coffee shop across town. I've submitted everything to the ethics board, she said, sliding a folder across the table. They're expediting the investigation given the severity of the allegations. Will it be enough? I clutched my coffee cup like a lifeline. The unauthorized testing alone violates at least 6 regulations. Marlene abused her position and attempting to take Emma without proper consent. Dr. Rivera shook her head. That crosses into criminal territory. Derek filed a countersuit for joint custody, claims I'm mentally unstable and making everything up. That won't stand against the evidence. I've also reached out to a contact at Channel 7 News. They're interested in covering cases of medical ethics violations. Go public? Won't that hurt Jacob? This isn't about Jacob. It's about protecting your daughter and stopping people like Marlene from abusing the system. I took a deep breath. Let's do it. 2 weeks later, the headline broke. Hospital administrator and son accused of creating child for organ harvesting. The story went viral overnight. My phone exploded with messages, including one from Derek. How could you do this to my family? They're saying Mom might lose her license. All over some tests that wouldn't even hurt Emma. I didn't respond. Instead, I watched as Marlene and Howard held an emergency press conference. These allegations are completely false, Marlene declared to the cameras. We only wanted what was best for our grandson Jacob. Any tests performed were standard medical procedures. But then Dr. Hoffman, the doctor who had helped them with the unauthorized testing, came forward. Marlene Wilson pressured me to run those tests without proper consent. She threatened my position at the hospital if I didn't comply. The custody hearing came next. I sat across from Derek in the courtroom, a stranger wearing my husband's face. Your Honor, Derek's lawyer argued, my client has never harmed his daughter and deserves equal access to her. My lawyer presented the recordings, the documentation, and testimony from Dr. Rivera. Mr. Wilson was complicit in a plan to use his child as an unwilling donor. He prioritized his parents' wishes over his daughter's welfare. The judge's face grew grimmer with each piece of evidence. This court grants full custody to Carolina Wilson. Derek Wilson is granted supervised visitation twice monthly pending completion of family counseling. Outside the courtroom, Derek approached me. This isn't over. My parents are appealing the ethics board decision. It is over, Derek. You chose your side. Jacob could die because of you. No, because of your parents' manipulation. There are ethical ways to find donors. Creating a child specifically for harvesting wasn't one of them. 3 months later, the hospital board terminated Marlene's position. Howard's medical practice lost half its patients after the news broke. Derek moved back in with them, all three united in their downfall. I used the settlement money to buy a small house across town and started a new design firm with Sophia. My lawyer called one afternoon with news. Derek's filed to terminate his parental rights. Says it would be better for everyone involved. I felt nothing but relief. 1 year later, Emma and I were celebrating her 5th birthday in our backyard. She was laughing as she chased bubbles across the grass. No idea of the storm we'd weathered. Carolina? My neighbor Michael leaned over the fence. Package came for you. It was a card from Dr. Rivera. Thought you'd want to know. Jacob received a bone marrow transplant last week from an anonymous donor through the National Registry. He's doing well. You made the right choice. Some victories aren't about winning, but about refusing to lose yourself. I watched Emma twirling in her party dress, free and safe. Some prices are too high to pay, even to save a life. My daughter was never going to be anyone's spare parts factory. She was her own person, with her own future ahead of her. And I'd make damn sure she got to live it on her terms, not as someone else's sacrifice. What would you do if you discovered your child was conceived specifically to be a donor for someone else? Would you stand your ground like Carolina, or would you consider the needs of the dying child? Where is the line between family duty and exploitation? If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stories like Carolina's raise important questions about medical ethics and family boundaries that affect more people than we realize. For more compelling stories that make you think, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. New stories uploaded weekly that will keep you wondering what you would do in these situations. Thanks for watching.